Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Heritage Boatworks Podcast. This is episode number 14. Welcome back, folks. This is the first and only podcast of its kind. I aim to explore, promote, and preserve boat building in New England. All these boat builders have a story to tell, and I am here to help them tell that. So we are back on track. I was late with the last podcast. I didn't get it released until the June podcast. I didn't get released until about mid-July. So this one I am sneaking in July. So you're getting two in July, so I can catch back up and keep up with my one per month schedule. So everything is going well with Heritage Boatworks. I've got a bunch of new subscribers over the past 2 weeks, which has been great. Things are going quite well there. I've got a handful of new blogs. You can check them out. I took a couple of different sets of kids out sailing with me, so I blogged about that. A couple different adventures with the different personalities out there. Lots of fun. I never don't have fun when I go sailing. Doesn't matter who I have with me. I'm always going to make a fun time out of it. Just love being out on the water. Make sure you connect with me. I'm on Facebook and I am on Twitter. Just look for Heritage BW, B as in boy, W as in whiskey. And also I want to mention, I also have a YouTube account. Just look for Heritage Boatworks. I think it might be Heritage BW as well, but search for Heritage Boatworks, it'll come up. And the reason I mention that is because I just picked up a GoPro Hero 3 Plus. One of those small sports cameras that people use for skiing. I think it's probably used for skiing mostly, but a lot of different things. And I'm going to figure out a couple of ways to mount it onto my boat and maybe do some beach videos and some fun stuff with that. It seems to have a different mount for just about every activity you could possibly think of. So I figure as long as I just buy a mount, it'll give me an idea on what to do with it next. So keep an eye out on the YouTube channel for those videos. I'll make sure I put a note about those in the monthly newsletter. Now, if you haven't signed up for the monthly newsletter, definitely go do that. There's no commitment, no fee, no spam. I don't share your address with anybody. Just sign up and I shoot you an update every month. Very simple system. You can sign up by going to heritageboatworks.com/email3, the number 3. So I'd appreciate that. As far as the boat building goes, I am still at a standstill. With my wife's work and going to the Cape every weekend, the boats are kind of idle at this time. Hoping again to get going on those this week. Probably not this week, probably next week. Got to do some cleanup down there. I was down there today and the shop is kind of a mess from the last time I was working down there, and I haven't been able to get down there to clean it up. So first things first, I got to get down there and do some cleaning and then dive back into the boat building. But that may be hopefully next week. Might have to wait until the following week or the fall, but we'll see how that goes. Definitely missing it. Definitely want to get down there and get my hands dirty. But I'm not going to delay much longer on this one. Since you got an update on all these things just a couple of weeks ago, so I'm going to dive right into the interview. This interview was a different one. So this gentleman, his name is Louis Sauzedde. He is a master shipwright. He works out of Wickford, Rhode Island. And he's not the traditional person that I've interviewed. Most of the people I've interviewed are business owners. They own a boat building business. They've either inherited it in their family or they started it themselves. Louis is a person of a different nature entirely. This is a man who is obsessed with wooden boats, how they're put together, how he can improve them as far as how they're put together, and how he can improve the process of of assembling them. He's really quite a genius when it comes to wooden boats. And the interview and the conversations I had with him were fantastic. He's quite an interesting guy. And Louis also has his own internet product, so to speak. He has a website called tipsfromashipwright.com. I encourage you to check that out. He's got some fantastic videos on there. He has a YouTube channel as well. You can just Google Tips from a Shipwright, and you'll find the YouTube channel. You'll find his website. Tons of fantastic information on varnishing and laminating, and he's in the middle right now of fixing a Herschaft 12.5. And he walked me through that whole process. Really fantastic information from one of the most talented boat builders that I've ever come across. He's quite an impressive guy. So without further ado, enjoy the interview. I had probably 1,000 more questions I wanted to ask him, but I wanted to keep everybody's time in mind and not go too long. So enjoy the interview. This is Louis Sauzedde. All right, welcome to Heritage Boatworks. I am here in Wickford, Rhode Island, right by North Kingston. Now, is Wickford its own town, or is it?
I think you might call it a borough or
something
yeah. In North Kingston. It's part of North Kingston.
So I am here with Louis Sauzedde. He is a master shipwright, and I was contacted by Chris, and he basically asked me to interview you. I've been following your videos on tipsfromashipwright.com, instructional videos. Louis has been known as kind of an innovative and very dynamic shipwright in the industry. And welcome, Louis, to the podcast.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to be here.
So where we'll start is, I've done a little research on you. I've read the Wooden Boat article, and yeah, I know all about you. I read the Providence Business Journal did a piece on you.
Yeah.
Quite an interesting history getting here. I'm very intrigued to hear your story of where you started. What was your first kind of kick into the marine life and the boat building, and when did you decide that this is what you wanted to do with the rest of your life?
Well, I don't know. I guess I've been asked that question quite a few times. I think it goes back to when I was a kid and all the kids were playing sports and things like that. I was a bit smaller than some of the kids around my neighborhood, and especially my brother. And I don't know. I get sick of hanging around with those guys, and I'd spend some time down on the beach. And back in those days, there was an awful lot of old boats around. I used to go into these old boats, 30-foot little old draggers and sword fishermen and lobster boats and everything on the beach, and just sitting there wondering which piece went first, and I was a bit of a kid really at the time, 6, 7 years old, 8 years old,
wow.
And just thinking about boat construction,
Yeah.
And then actually kind of got my first opportunities at boat work at 10 and 11 years old.
What was that first opportunity?
Well, my father had wooden boats, we had little sailboats and Beetles and Marshall Cats and different things, and we had a Cape Cod Knockabout and work skiffs, a bunch of different work skiffs. We had to always be working on those, and so I actually started working on my father's boats, and then I actually built boats in the immediate neighborhood with another builder of plywood skiffs years ago when I was a young kid, and that really kind of kicked me off that whole experience,
Was your father a boat builder, or just loved collecting?
He actually, I remember the first job I think that he got as a shipwright. He responded to an ad. They were looking for shipwrights to work on American Eagle at Luda's in Connecticut when the 12-meter American Eagle was being built. Mm-hmm. And he went down there and got a job. He wasn't a shipwright previous to that, but he was just, a man that could work with his hands.
Right.
And he got working down there. And then I actually went down there and worked down there. I think that was 1963. I was 14 years old.
Wow. So you were just kind of working on the boats?
I was out of school and working when I was 14 years old.
That's great.
Yeah, and I actually worked here part of the week because I already had a little motorcycle shop set up.
Yeah.
So I was doing motorcycle work, and then I'd go down there.
Wait. So, sorry to stop you. So You're 14 years old.
Yeah.
You're a carpenter at a boat shop.
Yeah.
And you also have your own motorcycle shop?
Yeah, I had a little shop with a friend of mine where we did work on all kinds of motorcycles, and I'd show up there like on the weekends and maybe one day a week, and those guys down in Connecticut, they didn't seem to care whether I was there or not. At first I started out like as a cleanup kid, but they realized I could do work, and so I was just able to kind of bump back and forth, and I was even trying to entertain going back to high school and all that stuff, because I never did finish high school. I was so busy working, I didn't have time for school.
Right.
I had to work, and I did.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time. I still enjoy what I do.
Yep.
And I just keep cranking it out.
So where'd you go? So now you're 14, you're building a boat, got a motorcycle shop. Where'd your life go after that?
Pretty much stayed right there. I kept doing boat work. I always did boat work. I started doing some housework too. I had a business contracting, but all the time I was contracting, I had men doing that, and I would go off and do the boat work.
Okay.
And then I actually built some houses over in Peacedale. I had a little housing development over in Peacedale, but there again, if I put an hour or two in the morning or something like that and get everybody going, and I just disappear. I'd be working on boats all over the place, and I just never stopped doing it. I started doing it and never stopped.
And your reputation just kind of got out there, and people would just bring you business?
Yeah, but a lot of times I always wanted to go. I like working for other outfits,
right?
Because that way you just don't have the pain of the business or the possibilities of taking a big digger, over business or something like that. So I like doing that, and I knew what the disadvantages of it were, though. The disadvantages is when the job is done, you're out of work because you just spoiled your reputation. You're working for somebody else. So
right.
When you do these large jobs, you have, sometimes you can have, slow periods afterwards. But if you're good enough at what you do, it just comes coming back.
Right.
So, actually when I was working on Coronet, that was kind of a detriment to what I had gotten started here, because I couldn't get the videos in that I thought I might get in on it.
Right,
I'm kind of glad not to be there, because otherwise this whole thing would have died.
Yeah. Now, just for my listeners, explain Coronet.
Coronet is a schooner that's being reproduced in Newport. It's a national treasure.
Yeah.
She's like 133 feet. They call it a rebuild, but it's actually being built again. That's the way I would put it.
Yeah. Okay. And you also, I read that you also worked on the Alabama.
I did. I headed up the reframing of Alabama, and then I taught a crew there how to plank it and put some equipment in place, and taught them the whole spiling technique. I did the line-off work, and then I taught them how to spile the plank in my way, because there were shipwrights there. They could have done it, I suppose, but I was hired to get them to do it my way. And I made equipment and put a whole process in place, and I was earning probably more money than they wanted to. I didn't need to be there. Once I got enough people going at it, it was so easy for them, just as easy for them as it was for me, and off they went doing it. And then I think when I left there, I went and worked on Weatherly, I believe. Yeah, I did some work on the 12-meter Weatherly right after that. And I had worked on Weatherly previous to that. I think after Alabama, I went and improved the keel connection on Weatherly at Wickford Cove Marina. I had already put a new stem in it, and the whole bow, when it got dropped from the travel lift down in Florida, chopped the bow at the borderline almost off, the whole bow end. So I had to replace the whole bow into the boat.
What a mess.
Yeah.
So you're after the whole 14 years old part. So you're basically the perpetual contractor at that point, building and fixing boats for other folks. Did you ever build a boat for yourself?
For myself, I built a couple of skiffs for myself and had them, and then but basically intentions of selling them off.
Eventually,
yeah. When I was 17 years old, I was the carpenter foreman at Wickford Cove Marina, right over here.
Okay.
And I built a 23-foot bass boat for them. And I got out of there when the hull was done. All they had to do was paint it up and all that kind of stuff. And then I ended up buying that boat a number of years later, because I was just attracted to it.
Right.
And just had it for a couple of years and sold it off.
Nice.
So it was kind of fun. But no, I've never really had that much time for boating, to tell you the truth.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've done some boating, but not as much as you might think.
Yeah.
You know, I'm more or less into the woodworking.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Got customers ever take you out? The people you work on take you out on the boats?
Some. I used to go out on the 12-meter yachts quite a bit.
Oh, nice.
You know, Nirvana, that Blue Hinckley out of Newport, that 65-footer, I rebuilt that.
Yeah.
You know, quite a bit of the 12-meter fleet. A bunch of Trumpies.
Yep.
You know, I built Freedom for Earl Macmillan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the hull, the deck, and the house.
Yep.
You know, and then got out of there. I didn't feel like being involved with the interior.
Yep.
You know. Yeah. A lot of times when those jobs get to the very ends or the guts of all the equipment, everything starts going wrong with the management and everything. You've just had a fantastic time. Well, why be there to the end and spoil the whole thing? You know what I mean?
Why be there for the punch list at the end?
There's no need of it, you know?
Right.
You know?
What's, out of all these boats you've worked on, what's been your favorite? Do you have a favorite? I mean, that's such a giant question. But do you have a boat that you just enjoyed working on more than any other boat?
I don't know. I think I enjoyed working on Freedom a lot because I had a lot of freedom working on that boat. Mm-hmm. You know, I framed it the way I wanted to frame it, right? I planked it the way I wanted to plank it, and the framing or the planking, neither system's ever been done before on any other boat. So it was progressive bevel sawn laminated framing in place, and of course it was a rebuild, so it didn't have mold set up or anything. It was framed inside the original planking,
right?
And that boat was cut away, so it was really a rebuild.
Yeah.
You know, no molds were made, no shape was studied or anything. They just gave me the boat in a lousy shape and make it look like new.
Yeah.
And of course it is new. It's got every aspect of it's new.
So
but that was a fun job. Yeah.
As far as I know. I've heard you say the term "my way" a number of times, and I know just about every step in the boat building process, you've kind of got your own way for, whether it's more efficient, take less time, just turns out a better result. This could be a giant question. Can you explain your way?
Huh.
I mean, is it different for every step?
Well, I don't know. I guess my way would be, you know, it's really an alteration of somebody else's way. Right. That's basically what it is. You know, like say spiling a plank. You know, I mean, I've read, I don't know, maybe 20 different articles on how to spile a plank. Mm-hmm. And after I'm all done, I go, well, I guess it gets it done. But when I go to do it, I find that, you know, it's clumsy or something. There's something about it I don't like. So I gotta, you know, I can tell that for my purposes, I'm not gonna be able to do it fast enough or neat enough or something. Something's wrong with it, you know, and I'm just gonna come up with some other method that I can use that makes it easier for me. And it's driven really always out of necessity, basically, you know, and necessity's the mother of invention. Well, I kind of invent methodology and tools, you know, and you know, they're probably not miles away from things that other people have done, but it's just some little subtle difference, you know, that makes it easy to do that probably people haven't thought of before.
Makes it more efficient.
Makes it efficient, you know, and yeah, I guess that would be my way.
Now, how do other shipwrights take to doing things differently? Do you find there's pushback on that?
I'm finally starting to get a feel for that, because basically most of the jobs that I get involved with, I don't get onto these big jobs and be a worker beside everybody, because that just doesn't serve my purposes at all. I've got to be in some way in charge. I mean, I'm not bragging or anything, but that's my position that I fill. I just can't. I'm not going to work beside everybody and do it your way.
Right.
We're going to have to be doing it my way, and that includes you, and the next guy, and the next guy. Right. That way I can really get something done. And so most of the time, I have no problem with that, because they're forced to do it.
Right.
You see what I mean? So over the years, I've been forcing the people to do it my way, and that's been working out very well. Well, now, since I've been teaching through these tapes and through these videos and different things, I mean, I can't force anybody to do anything. So what I'm finding out is they're sending me back lots of information, and many boat builders and professionals are doing things my way.
That's
and
great.
Claim that they wouldn't ever go back, because it's obviously, there's a reason for it. There was the same reason that I came up with is the same reason and understanding that they get out of it when they go to do it. So they're just not going to turn back.
So it's basically,
my methodology is being picked up by many professionals.
That's great. So your goal is basically have a little more efficiency, make things faster, easier.
Well, if you make things faster, then maybe somebody will come to you with more work.
Yeah.
They're always looking to get work. I'm in an effort right now to get work constantly. Right. That's what I use my interviews, everything else as an advertisement for myself, and that's what it is. And I need to, I need work. We always need work. We're trying to find real nice boats that are worthy of, that aren't just work, but are worthy of being repaired. They've got wonderful owners, right? A wonderful history, a problem, and now a person to fix it. And a videographer to take it, and that's what we're up to.
And as we're sitting here interviewing with audio, audio only, behind us sits a red, white, and blue Hershoff 12.5 that is one of my favorite boats. It's just gorgeous, and it's worthy.
It's worthy.
It needs the work. It definitely needs the work. I can see a lot of problems. But the 12.5 is just such a beautiful boat that I believe it's worthy. I'm a sailor myself, so
unquestionably.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, an opinion question from somebody who's entrenched in wooden boats. So I've gone around interviewing people. It doesn't always make it onto tape, but we always seem to have the conversation about wooden boats and the whole wooden boat industry, and people buying wooden boats has made a resurgence over the past 6 or 7 years, 5, 6, 7 years. And then there's some people that say it seems like it made a resurgence, it's kind of tapered off. Some people say it's just starting. What are your opinions, and what are you seeing? Do you think the restores, the initial purchases, the builders of wooden boats, do you think it seems to be making a resurgence, or do you think it's not?
I'm not so sure that's something that I could testify to, because I'm in my own small world here. So, as far as around the world, or even around the United States, or even around the area, I know there is still some interest, but I would say that since I got involved with wooden boat work, which has been so long ago, that it has done a steady decline ever since. I've never seen anything come back whatsoever. Okay. But I would then, on top of that, I would tell you that if anything is going to bring wooden boats back in the limelight or into the interest of people, and I believe that these schools and everybody else has made a tremendous effort to make that happen, but I don't know that that's really been what will successfully do it. My opinion of it is it's the internet.
Yeah.
The internet is what's going to bring it back, and it's what's creating the interest around the world. If there is a new interest around the world, I would hand it to the internet and the people who are involved with the internet, because it's a new source of information that everybody's got access to, and I think it's a broader source of information. It hasn't been totally utilized maybe in any field, and certainly not in my field. That's why we've set out to do what we're doing. We not only are looking to make money, but we're looking to transfer some information that people can go on with, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, we had a conversation just before I started the tape as well that Louis puts together some videos with a producer of his, and they basically show some of his techniques of restoring wooden boats. And it's information that long after we're gone or whatever, this shop is gone, and whatever the internet will always be there. Those videos will likely always be there too. And there could be some kid who's got his dad's 12.5, 75 years from now, who blows a plank.
That's right. It's too bad I'm not going to be around to appreciate that, but I do know that that's going to happen. I understand that when I do a repair job on a boat, or even build a boat, when it goes out the door, it goes out the door once, and it gets a lot of use, but you may never see it again. And how many people do? It's the people that bought it from you, or you repaired it for, and it's in a small circle of people, and it basically just goes off and dies in the world there. Right. But the internet doesn't die, and the thing with it is after I'm gone, they'll still be looking at these tapes, and there'll be information there. Where are you?
There are very few people, I think, also that don't appreciate a wooden boat. Even the people that know nothing about it, if they walk by a boat at a dock and it's a big white fiberglass sterile boat, they may say, hey, that's pretty, that's a nice boat, I bet that's expensive. But you walk by a boat that's all varnished on the top, and then it's all
Well,
bright wood.
there's
a different emotion involved there. Even people that know nothing about boats, there's a different emotion there. And I think it's that emotion that will really kind of never let the wooden boat
Well,
die,
I think
so to
it's the
speak.
nature of the material itself. You know, I call wood a warm material because when you put your hand on any piece of wood, you just give it a second, and it warms up because it's got insulative value. You know, when you put your hand on a fiberglass boat, it steals the heat right out of your hand, right? Or on a steel boat, right? Or a carbon fiber boat. So, you know, God made that material to warm up to man, and he made that material for man to be able to use at his discretion. And, you know, we've done a great job of it, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens. I think that when people get near wood without even touching it, it's a warm material, and it warms up to them. And it's a connection that they might not even recognize or identify, but it's happening anyhow.
Right.
And there's something there that they're not really onto. And I believe it's the material and the way it warms up to you. And it does other things because it reflects sound in a different way. You know, you can use it to amplify sound or to kill sound, or you know, it's just a fantastic material. And I think that's what creates that interest. And besides that, it's all the methodology about the way people work with it. You know, because it's just got so many methods and tools and ideas, and it goes on and on and on. And I've been working with wood for how many hundreds and thousands of years, and yet still today you can come up with some new method or some new thing to use it for, or some new way to deal with it.
Or it may have some new behavior that you've never seen before.
You know what I mean?
I build, as I mentioned, I build some boats in my basement, just little plywood stuff, but sometimes I'll do the same thing twice with a piece of wood, and one piece of wood will do it fine, and the other piece of wood just doesn't want to do it.
Right.
And they're the same species, the same type of wood, and everything's the same. It's just that the wood's kind of alive, and that particular piece of wood just didn't feel like bending that way.
Every piece is different. That's right.
Yeah. So I have the boat folks I interview are fiberglass builders, wood builders, everything. I don't show any discretion there, but I've always been a fan of the wooden boat for all those reasons.
Hey, I don't have a thing against fiberglass boats or steel boats or any other boat. Yeah. It's just that I don't want to work on them.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah.
As long as I don't have to work on them, they're all fine by me.
Yeah, you're not a welder.
Yeah, no, I'm not a welder, you know. I'd rather work with a boat that's in absolutely worse condition than that, a wooden boat.
What's that one up the street there? I saw in somebody's yard.
Oh,
you know the story on that?
Years and years. The guy's just, he's a broker, a boat broker.
Is that like an old lobster boat or something?
No,
What
it's
is it?
like sport fisherman. It's a little sport fisherman. I don't know who made that boat, but it's bat and seam. He had another one right across the way that broke down even worse than that. Ugh. That boat's been in that yard for 30 years at least.
It looks like it. It looks like it. Yeah. That poor thing. Okay, so let's see what else. All right, let's talk about the YouTube videos now that we're there. So you are part of a site that is called Tips from a Shipwright.
Right.
And you produce a series of videos. You don't produce them. You have a producer, basically showing a lot of your technique. So we'll get into the meat of the videos. What I want to hear is kind of how that came about. Who had the idea for videos? Where did the video idea start?
Well, like I say, years ago, I started playing around with videos with a high 8 camera, shooting my videos myself. Mm-hmm. And then I did some video work for rock and roll bands, actually. It was just like a sideline. And nice. I did quite a bit of that stuff. And then, I
Any big names?
No big names.
Local folks?
Yeah. No, but it just, I could shoot the videos, and they came out kind of nice, but I just couldn't seem to get them edited properly. It was very much work that I couldn't seem to understand. Mm-hmm. And then I got into a different format. I got a digital camera, a Sony digital camera on tape. And I didn't think that camera was as good as the high 8 cameras, and that discouraged me a little bit. But the editing of it, and then really the biggest thing that stopped me years ago was I couldn't figure out where to get rid of it. how to sell it, and of course you'd have to make DVDs and invest all kinds of money in internet. Until the internet, I knew the internet was starting to rise up because I had gone to a couple of classes or something that you might call it. They were just talking about the internet and what it was going to be like. And I said, gee, I mean, 6-8 years from now, this could be good.
Yeah.
So I just kept working and thinking about it. And then I was doing a particular job. I was building a dome for an egg-shaped church up in Bristol.
Okay.
And that thing was contracted by another contractor. I just did the dome of it, and this young videographer came in to take videos of it. That's how I met Halsey. And I said I'd been thinking about getting back into some video work, and he said, he was available. And so we went off and we did a few things. And I think the first video that we shot was shot right in that shop where I built that little dome of sharpening hand saws. And that video was just released by Wooden Boat Magazine, one of the first 6 videos that I licensed to Wooden Boat Magazine. Excellent. So that first video, actually, the first video that we shot, we monetized on that.
And it was sharpening hand saws.
Sharpening hand saws.
Nice.
Yeah, and then we've gone from there to all kinds of other things. And we never did a series. We did unrelated videos,
Yeah, the videos jump around
just
a
in
lot.
the boat field,
Yep.
And then we talked about doing series and different things, and that's what we're trying to do. We're always trying to learn and watching those analytics and seeing what people like and who watches it and all these different things. It hasn't cost us a tremendous amount of money to get this accomplished. It's more or less, you've got to provide that content, and my videographer and producer has to work quite a bit, but we're not like pouring large sums of money in it. So we've got a free YouTube site, and we're actually starting to receive checks from YouTube. It's getting very, very popular. We have our own website. We had a website that wasn't working really well, and probably the format of it, I don't know what you would call that, but I don't know, it just wasn't impressive, and we weren't loading it up. And then we decided it's just causing us trouble more than anything, and we took it down. But now we've got another one up that we're just starting to work with, but it seems to be easier for us, and but the most of what we've been doing lately has been YouTube. YouTube's been very good to us.
So what's the plans? What's the upcoming series? Now you're going to start doing series on there. What's going to be the first?
We're doing a series on YouTube right now, The Repair of This 12.
Yep.
Then we're hoping to do another series after this on the building of like a Rhode Island work skiff, maybe 16 to 18 feet. A very substantial, nicely built skiff. And show the world how that's done. And then possibly from there into a V-bottom skiff that I designed. But I've got repair work and all kinds of stuff in between. I'm building a 43-foot Alden schooner right now in Bristol.
Okay. Contract?
Well, it's being built for the owner of the boat, and I are building it together. It's his boat in his shop, and I did the design work. It's an Alden design, but I did the construction plans all over differently, and it is the first boat, I believe, to be framed with plastic.
Okay.
A new boat to be framed with plastic. I frame and do a lot of repair work on boats with plastic frames, bent plastic frames. This is the first boat that I designed to be built with plastic frames, and we're in the process of doing that right now.
Why plastic?
Well, the owner of the boat asked me, after having a number of boats and seeing many boats of age, he would like to have a boat that the frame heels and the floor timbers just never went bad.
Don't rot.
He said if the planking went bad and I had to replace a plank, I don't think that, that would bother me. And it doesn't usually go, but the frame heels, they break where they're fastened to the floor timbers, they do this wrong, that wrong, they rot, they do this, that, and we were just trying to come up with a method that would be a more permanent, because I just think it was blowing his dress up to come up with something a little different than just what everybody else did too. He's in the same park I'm in, as far as this methodology and stuff. So
how do you make plastic frames? Do you
we just have the plastics company pour it in a big sheet, any
Nice.
thickness you want. They rip it right up, square, and deliver it right to you. You know, you can do progressive bevel saw and framing with it yourself, or most of the stuff that I do with plastic is square framed and twisted into place.
Right. Okay.
You know, so it's very similar to the bent framing in a wooden boat.
wood, yeah.
And I did C-tabby, a 61-foot trumpy with plastic frames.
Now, what
Floors.
kind of? I'm not a plastics guy, but is it a particular type of plastic?
It's a high-density polyethylene.
Polyethylene. Okay.
High-density polyethylene. And
I'm thinking some of my listeners will say, "Whoa, polyethylene." I have no idea what that means.
yeah, well, it's just all those polys come from heating oil and separating what comes out of them. And, I think you get polyethylene, then you get polysulfide, then you get poly this and poly that in this tank, and they suck it off, and, it dries, and here it is, polyethylene.
Each piece is a different product.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, as far as I can tell, the only thing that could possibly ever go wrong with it would be, it does break down in UV rays, but it's not subject to that.
Right,
Right.
Right.
And as far as the thickness of it, a piece that's 4 mils would break down after a couple of years, but a piece that's 2 inches thick might take 400 years. I don't know.
Right.
In direct sunlight, constant.
A lot less than the wood.
Yeah. It doesn't conduct any electricity. It doesn't soak up any moisture. It doesn't twist your fastenings. The fastenings hold. It's just a whole new thing. And that particular boat has got fiberglass floor timbers, hand-laid fiberglass floor timbers.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Plastic framing and double planked mahogany. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Excellent.
laminated stem.
It's going to be bomb-proof.
It's going to be a nice boat.
Yeah.
It's going to be a nice boat. We're not in a hurry, in a big hurry building it. And we've been that's another project that we've been kind of waiting for this internet to get busy so that we could show it to the world as we build it rather than, after we build
That's always the tricky part. Every time I start a new boat, I say, I'm going to take a ton of pictures. I'm going to record everything.
It's hard to do.
I get like 6 weeks into the boat, and I don't even know where my camera is anymore. I just want to work.
I got you.
That's why it's great you have Halsey. What's Halsey's last name?
Fulton.
Halsey Fulton. And he has, his name of his company is Riverhawk.
No, it's Fishhawk Films, but
Fishhawk,
something?
Fishhawk.
I wouldn't even mention it.
Okay.
He's fine. He's not playing that.
No, that's fine. I just like
He's
to.
still got it, but
Whoever's involved.
And he and I may do something with that again because we own a drone now. Mm-hmm. So we've been doing a little bit of flying around with a drone.
What'd you get? I'm thinking about getting a drone myself.
Well, he bought one. I forget what they call it.
DJI, is it white with stripes?
Yeah, it's got 4 props on it.
Yeah.
But it's not what we want.
Not great? No.
No, it's not that great. And you can only fly a little GoPro on it.
Yeah.
The GoPros have real trouble when you're trying to do marine use.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they cannot separate the bright and the dark.
Oh, interesting.
So the dark becomes screwed up and the bright becomes screwed up, and you just don't get. It's very difficult.
Huh.
It's only a good camera in ideal conditions. So we want to fly a real good video camera. Mm-hmm. So we're going to buy one of those carbon fiber ones with 6 props on it.
I saw that.
And then it takes one guy to fly it because that's what they want. They want you to have that thing in direct line of sight all the time, so you can't crash it into things.
Right.
Because when you're flying it through the camera, you only see what the camera's looking at.
Right.
You can't tell where you are.
Yeah.
All kinds of problems.
Yeah.
So one guy's going to fly it, and the other guy's going to do the shooting.
The FCC it sounds like the FCC is going to come up with some rules.
Well, those are some of the rules right there. So we're going to fit in between the rules, and then hopefully we're going to be able to go around doing the same thing that you're doing, but shoot some races of traditional boats and some stuff around the shops and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You can literally fly one right around in here and go around the boat
amazing.
like this and come in and look at somebody's work.
It's
over.
It's like having a boom camera almost.
It's unbelievable.
Without any of the gear.
That's what we're going to do for filming my work.
Yeah,
basically.
that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, let's see what else we have. I have one more question, then we'll go to I have a new thing that I'm starting with you. You're my guinea pig. It's my lightning round.
So I like being a guinea pig.
What would be the advice you would give to a kid starting out in wooden boats today? So we've got Iris, we've got the landing school, we've got the wooden boat school, we've got all these schools churning out these kids on wooden boat building.
I know.
And we all love wooden boat building, but we know there's unless you're at the top of your game, as you are, there's not a lot of money to be made in it. So what would be your advice to a kid coming out of there?
Well, my advice to most everybody that comes out of that school, or any of the schools, is to pick something that you would really like to have yourself and build it, right? Because you get to keep it, you get to show it off from now to the end of time if you do keep it. The possibilities, like you said, of getting work in this field are limited. It's not impossible, but then again, there's not a ton of money to be made. You usually start at the bottom of the list. And even if you can prove yourself, the people that are hiring a lot of shipwrights, they don't even want you to prove yourself, because then they got to pay you more money.
Right.
So it's really kind of a, as far as the good jobs go, some of the real good jobs, I get a good portion of those.
Yeah.
So the only other thing I can tell you is if you can go to work for somebody, try to learn, or try to get involved with somebody that can really teach you a lot. Because that's going to be the biggest satisfaction you're going to get out of it, more so than the money, I think.
Right.
Right. I'm not saying there isn't money to be made at it, but if you're going to make money, you're going to have to be kind of like me and be inventive. Like here, I'm actually turning away from, in a sense, making money at the boat work to making money at the videos.
Right.
Even me.
But at the base of it is the boat building.
And I make money at boat building.
Which is wonderful.
But
you can
not
always
everybody's going to.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Like I say, you kind of have to be at the top of your game, or working for somebody at the top of your game. And below that, there's not a whole lot of room. So
no, I would say to make use of that knowledge your own way, yourself, and don't rely on a company or anything like that to get the work or otherwise. Go right from school and earn money at doing something that you can earn money at, that you're very good at, and dump your money into learning boat work on your own.
Right.
And then get a great computer and learn from tips from a shipwright.
I love the plug. All right, so this is brand new. We'll see how this goes. This is my lightning round. Okay. So we're just going to rip off a couple questions, one-word answers if you want. So yeah, we'll go. It's 1, 2, 3. We got 7 questions. If you could have one boat, regardless of the cost, what would it be? I could maybe stream in the Jeopardy music in here. It's a tough one. I mean, you've worked on some incredible boats over the years.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell you what exact boat it would be, but it would probably be a boat that you could spend some time on, that you could live on, but wouldn't have to. It wouldn't be so big that you can't afford it, and wouldn't be so big that you can't move it or use it yourself. And I don't know that it'd necessarily be a power boat or necessarily a sailboat. I think a boat that would be like a motor sailor type boat. You know what I mean? That that you could spend some time on.
Yeah, but not so big that it hinders.
I'm actually looking at a motor sailor right now, but it's huge. Yeah. It's over 60 feet, and it needs some work. So
you need a crew for that.
Yeah, well, I don't know. You could probably run it yourself, but it's actually a sport fisherman kind of motor sailor. So, I don't know. I can't say. I'm attracted to all kinds of boats, no doubt about it.
Excellent. And we just spoke about this before I started the tape. What's your favorite step in boat building, or your favorite part of building a boat?
I'd say accomplishing the hull. Whether it's the framing or the planking, but the accomplishment of building the hull itself and seeing it finally getting planked up and completed to the gunnels, so that when you stand up under it and look at it, it looks complete. That's to me the part that I like, the form of the hull and accomplishing that.
Now, do you prefer a 12.5, or do you prefer a giant schooner taking up a whole hangar worth of space?
I'm happy with all of it.
Either,
I'm happy with all of it. The very large work does not scare me at all. I have methods for dealing with that stuff, and to me, it's just a challenge that I accept, and I just grin at it and go, nothing bothers me.
Right.
Nothing in woodworking bothers me. So
awesome. Do you have a favorite designer?
I don't know. You know, I think years ago I used to think it was John Alden, and because he designed a lot of different types of boats, you know, and I mean not just race boats and not just, you know, power boats, but just about everything. I like John Alden's stuff, but no, I don't think I have a particular designer that I would regard above and beyond everyone else.
Did you see that Gil Smith cat boat out at the end of the dock at the Wooden Boat Show?
I did.
Big fat one.
Yeah.
That boat is so beautiful. I'm a cat boat guy. I just love those cats. This is an interesting question, and I don't know if you'll be able to answer it. If you had to build a boat with only one species of wood, what would the species be?
Probably teak.
Teak, yeah. Just because it's bomb-proof.
Well,
it's pretty.
It's got its disadvantages in a lot of situations, you know, because it splits easy. Mm-hmm. But other woods do other things easy. Right. So you would have to, when you try to build out of one species, you have to work the design of the woodworking around that species, so you don't use it in the wrong way. Okay. You know, and then it can be successful. You know, people have built boats out of single species. You know, all teak, all mahogany, all oak.
Oh, expensive. Cost a pretty penny for a teak boat. Yeah, that's great. Do you have a preference, sail or power? If you had to choose one?
Sailboats.
Sailboats, yeah. Now, if you were going cruising, would it be solo or with a companion?
Oh, no, I prefer a companion.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And the last question, PFD, is it on or is it close by?
PFD?
Personal flotation device, so a life jacket. Some people are sticklers about that stuff.
You know, I don't know. I was never a safety-oriented person, to tell you the honest truth. And I would put the life preserver as far away as entirely possible, so I never have to see it again.
That's a good answer. Not only am I not wearing it, I want it out of my sight.
I don't want to know anything about it.
Well, that's all I have. This has been a fantastic interview.
Well, thanks.
Been outstanding.
That's great.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, no problem at all. I was wondering if you're going to take any pictures or anything.
I will.
Oh, sure.
So just to wrap it all up, if they want to find you on YouTube, they can search YouTube for Tips from a Shipwright.
Yeah.
Or you can go straight to their website, Tips from a Shipwright.
Yeah, Facebook is how you get Chris. And Chris, he's my social media manager.
He's the social media guy?
So what he does is he gets me out of having to, talk to 400 people. Well, and sends me to people that, there's some possibility that, like
get the word out. Yeah, like absolutely. So I'm going to have a page on my website that's dedicated to this interview. I'll have links to the YouTube channel and to Facebook and to Tips from a Shipwright. So everything will be there as far as links go, and we'll go from there. And thank you so much for your time.
Oh, yeah. No, great.
Well, that will do it for this week's show. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you found Louis as interesting as I found him. He was quite a character, and I'm looking forward to meeting up with him again and doing a little more exploring. But make sure you check out Tips from a Shipwright. He's got quite a product there, a lot of great advice, great tips from someone who's really engrossed himself in wooden boat building over the years and really had an innovative way of thinking of constructing boats and the processes that have seemed to have been stuck in tradition for many years. Louis comes in and really has a kind of a new fresh way of thinking of doing things. So very interesting interview, interesting guy. Make sure you check out the website. Also, make sure you sign up for my newsletter. Just a reminder, go to heritageboatworks.com/email3. That will get you to a sign-up page. Again, no obligations, no fees, no sharing of your information, just a newsletter every month. And connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, all that fun stuff. And keep an eye on the YouTube channel. I'm going to be experimenting with my new Hero camera. And we should have some fun with that. So thanks again for coming by. I'll see you next month.